This is a Tembo camp. It was last occupied in 2004, and I came in for the first time with Mark and Robert, one of the other directors, and it was very, very, very run down. There was where this building standing behind us is, there was a eating mess, which was made out of offcuts of wooden planks. It was a pretty disgusting mess. The kitchen was a similar structure to that one, somewhere over there, and it was also very nice. The tents were 7 years old, had been standing out in the sun for 7 years, so we took the cloth and we pulled them and they fell apart. Well, the ablutions was a toilet, in its place, and there were no walls. It stood out in the bush.
Mark was not very happy.
Welcome.
So, what we did was we worked out what we needed in terms of tents and in terms of office space, you know, the general things, and we rebuilt this building, we refurbished this building. We decided this will not be the office, it will be the mess because it had low window sills. It's better as a mess. We built the whole kitchen from scratch. There was no kitchen we bought here. We put 2 cool rooms at the back behind the kitchen. They're basically air conditioned. One's air conditioned, one isn't. Yeah. So if you buy fresh produce, you can put in the one that's air conditioned and at least it stays fresh for a while. There are 3 storerooms attached to this building, so we use those as workplaces for sample bag preparation, and you know there's hundreds of bags and labels that have to be written out. So they get stored there, they get prepared there, and they go out each day from there. We had no workshop or storage facility other than these 3 small rooms, so we bought 2 20-foot containers there. They now essentially storerooms. They will become a workshop when we have our own vehicles. Currently we're leasing our vehicles, renting them all. We repaired the generator house and put a new generator in it. That basically runs through the day. It goes off at 10 at night and comes back on at about 5 or 6 in the morning. We put in 2 solar geysers, solar water heaters. Those of you know water heaters. I think the geysers are start out of New Zealand volcanoes. We put in 2 20-foot container ablutions. Each have 2 showers, 2 toilets, and 2 wash and basins. And we will need more. The way the drilling is going, the number of people we'll have here. So I'm thinking of getting another 20-foot container with 3, because we actually can fit 3 quite comfortably there, and it'll be 3 individual units. We put in a few more tent blocks, and then we bought brand new tents. And we've got a mixture of what could be 2-man tents and 1-man tents. One is a cottage-style tent, and the other is a dome-style tent. And we furnished those with a bed, a small little sort of a cupboard that's similar to this one. Oh, like that. Each one of them has one of those. Each one has a little table, work table, and a director's chair. So if you want to sit in your tent and read or whatever, you've got a place to work, table to put your laptop on. You'll see the office. We put in a satellite dish for satellite and internet communication. So we've got VoIP, and we can communicate with the world. When the new parts that have just come through our brand new VSAT to repair it. For some reason it's been giving trouble, so we have to work on it. We put in 20,000 litres of water storage. That's right up at the back, obviously the high point, and a small pressure pump there. So if you open a tap, it's pressurised by the pump.
Electricity.
We wired the whole place, it wasn't wired, so we run cables everywhere so there's electricity. Then right up in the top left corner, we'll spend some time this afternoon looking at core. We bought a core shed, basically for core storage and core, working with the core, logging, cutting. We have 2 diamond cutters for the core. That's going to get small very quickly, so we will have to expand our core storage as we build up the meters. And we put in a fuel station, which isn't operating yet, but we've got 2,000 litres of fuel storage here with an electric pump and a meter. Fuel is like liquid gold in Tanzania. It's easy to steal and it's very easy to sell. So it's one of the things that all mining operations, I don't know if you followed the story at Buzwagi, they actually fired a few hundred people
Few
because of fuel theft. Yeah, about a year ago. They were losing thousands and thousands and thousands of liters every day. Yeah. It was a big, there were lots of employees involved, that's why it was so effective. And that's it.
Oh no, DSTV?
Oh, we put it in, so these guys can watch BBC World News, and they can watch the Super Bowl, and they can probably watch Dortmund playing Bayern Munich.
Every day, see we watch.
We have at the moment, we probably have 30 people staying in camp, in our camp. The drillers camp you saw on the road as we came in, there on the left there. We've got fridges and freezers, and we're ready to do a 90,000 meter drill program. And I think generally, if you ask Nadine and those that live in the camp, it's very comfortable. It's a nice environment with these trees. Interestingly, this whole area was once upon a time lands, and all these trees have grown back from the stumps that were cut off to create the farmland, and now they're growing back. So there would have been some very big trees here. So that's camp. At the moment, we run with 2 geologists on site for North Shore, and that's Abraham and Tansania at the moment, and they will rotate out every 6 weeks. So they stay for 6, go out for 2. Noli will come in, or Alan Goldsmith will come in from time to time. Try you met Alan. Will come in from time to time, obviously to relieve those that are here, and then also to just come and do a sort of a high level check on how things are going. I will probably be here 1 out of 3 weeks, something like that. 2 out of 4 maybe, depending on how we're going. At the moment, as you saw, 1 big diamond rig, 1 RC rig. There's a small diamond rig running, which is not performing very well. So as of today, I've ordered another bigger diamond rig. We've got enough for them to do, but we can decide now if we just really get it in. We've got an RC rig on the road. So at the very least, we'll have 2 RC rigs and 2 diamond rigs running full time. And we can keep the small one busy. If its meters are low, we'll put it onto stuff that's not as on a critical path for us, but it'll get meters and it'll get into sections. For water, we have a bowser which we rent permanently, and that bowser runs back and forward bringing water to the camp. We have a bowser that does the same for the drill rigs. The intention is, once we've got over a certain amount of drilling done and we've got some results back and the pressure's off to get into drilling for ore bodies, we'll bring one of the RC rigs off and drill some water boreholes. Hopefully get water close to camp, close to the drill sites, and for some villages. The villages, as you can see, they're very poor, so part of our community input will be to provide them with clean borehole water. We have it tested for mercury before we start to.
A soccer team?
Oh, we have a soccer team, and initiated by Alan and Alan, the 2 Allans who are here. And so.
And Abraham's doing it right now.
And Abraham is also a very keen soccer player, so the guys go down every week. Abraham?
Yeah, every week. So tomorrow I message at Coca-Cola, by the way.
We won't be here, but enjoy the game. You playing at Coca-Cola?
Yes, they invited us. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Very nice.
So that's one of the things where the guys are starting to build a relationship with the local people is by playing soccer.
Do you let them win? Or how does it work?
They won the first game. I don't know. Do you win?
We don't never miss.
I think our goalkeeper used to play.
You got to change it a little bit.
The goalkeeper played for one of the Tanzania Premier League sides.
This is the goalkeeper now.
Are you the goalkeeper now?
Taking over.
I was in the shop, everyone would be glad to know. So when we're ready to get the kit, they know all about us in the shop in Cape Town. They'll embroider it, and we're going to go yellow and black, those being Tembo's colours, and we'll kit out our side and probably kit out 1 or 2 of the villages as well. It's something good to do in the community, and the drillers do not work on Sundays, so it's a bit of an easy day for everybody, just to catch your breath, and so that'll be a day for soccer and whatever else. So we'll talk some technical stuff now. I don't know what Nolene and Sonny and Abraham have planned. I introduced Will. You may have met him already, but Will, you call him technical manager. Before Will was Alan, also a long-time friend of mine, Alan Olivato. I'm not sure how much Alan will come up now, but they also will rotate in and out. And then Will is assisted by a guy called Patrick, a Tanzanian fellow, and they look after all the camp logistics. They will look after fuel when we need it, getting samples to the laboratory in time, managing the whole vehicle program, managing the stores. We're going through thousands of, or will be going through thousands of sample bags. So that's a logistical thing. Keeping a check on stock, so that if we're running low on core trays or whatever, make sure we make an order in time. Training people on the technical side. When you saw the team working at the RC rig, those guys have been trained from scratch how to do that riffling process, which mixes the sample and sees to it that we get a representative sample out. So they've been trained.
Were they all hired locally?
They're all hired locally. Yeah. Core cutting. That's once we get the intersections and they've been logged, we split the core in half. Samples are taken and bagged and labelled and dispatched to the laboratory. What else is there? Food's important, of course.
Absolutely.
I was going to say supervising the bulldozer for cutting lines.
Oh yeah, the bulldozer. So we've got a bulldozer as well, which we got on a monthly rate, a very reasonable monthly rate. So we look after that. It's with us full time. It basically cuts in our access rows and then cuts the individual draw pad lines. And
sorry, we used it in the village to help them repair their bridge, which they would greatly appreciate.
yeah.
And food's very important, you were going to say.
Yeah, food is very important, and at the moment most of it's bought locally here, and obviously some of it from Mwanza, because we do have vehicles going there with samples. They go to the local supermarket and bring in the stuff that you need from the shop. Meat, and that is all local. Chickens.
Yeah. Chickens are very local.
Chickens. They're actually all
Free range.
We've got a chicken on our banners for the we had them for the Indaba conference. It was a chicken. He's about that size on the banner. So somebody said, "What's the chicken doing there?" I said, "That's lunch, about half an hour before you eat it." So the chicken is a little bit tough.
It's good for morale.
It's good for morale. So that's that. This is now that. So that's the setup. You know where the camp is now. You know where our first drilling target is. The next one we'll have will be further to the north. The others will be further to the south slightly. The Nakaguru village area where that new pit is. That'll be a drill site in the not too distant future. We're in a dry season at the moment. Tanzania generally has 2 wet seasons. One when the sun comes back from the north, and that's October, November, and we had very wet, short rains. I mean, some of the roads we drove today were this deep in water 2 months ago. And then in late February, March, it'll start raining again and run through to May. And it's usually afternoon thunderstorms. That's the kind of rain they get generally. And it'll be 900 millimeters in a year. We expect to work all year round, except when we have to work on that black cotton soil. That becomes impossible in the wet season. So we'll have to put roadways across those if we intend working on or crossing over them.
I think maybe we should just have an open discussion. If you have any questions, we can go through them.
Yeah.
And then we can either have lunch first and then have a look at the core, or we just use it
It might be an idea for 2 of us to hold that and just run through very quickly again, I think, how we got to our targets and what they consist of, just generally. I'll hold it. You can talk.
But as we've discussed earlier, a lot of work has been done previously on these prospects. And the targets as we have them actually come from historical work. So the Bully tree end up here, Nyensi over here, Ngula, the Nkagwe village and the Nkagwe East were all targeted previously by the Kota. Mbusu, however, wasn't. This is a new target for us. Alan Goldsmith, one of our geologists, went and did some mapping, and we actually didn't realize until then how much work there had been done. So that's all new, and this is also quite new, so we're very excited about that. As you saw earlier, this is our drilling. This is where we're drilling at the moment. We're going to finish this entire project with the one RC rig we've got that you saw this morning, and the diamond rig that we had a look at this morning. We probably will bring a second diamond rig in to help up there until we move into the next target. We've got another RC rig coming in, as I said earlier. It should be here by the 25th. Should be. And it's going to be concentrated solely on this area. We're bringing another geologist in who will be working only on this project. So his name's Ashley, he'll be working on Ngusu. Abraham is working on Ngulu. Tansania is basically doing project management. She's on-site geologist, and she's monitoring all the diamond drilling. Abraham is helping with the structure, which is obviously very important in this project. So that's the first one. The next target's going to be over here. We're then probably going to move an RC rig up here, and then depending on when we can get in there, we're going to move one of the diamond rigs from there down to there. These two areas, this one and this one, because they haven't had much, well, they haven't had any diamond drilling on previously. We're doing a heel-to-toe RC program, fence drilling. So the holes are 100 meters deep. They're 40 meters apart, and they're angled at 60. So they're like this. And as you can see, we just start drilling on the one side and we just go all the way to the top. And the reason we're doing that is to see just what structures there are. At the moment, what we're doing is we're targeting the artisanal works. The guys are pulling out gold. It makes perfect sense that there is going to be gold there. So we're trying to hit all the structures under the artisanal workings at depths of minus 50, minus 100, minus 150, minus 200, minus 500, minus 1,000. We don't know where we're going to start.
You go with this.
And then, depending on what comes up from the analyses, we'll move the exploration accordingly. So we might find something really exciting right over here, and we're going to concentrate on that because we're looking for exciting stuff. We might not, and then we'll move up and see, you know. So even though we've planned this program as it is with the different positions of the drilling, it's exploration. It moves. It's an organic thing. But anyhow, that's what we're planning at the moment. And we've got 6 months of drilling, RC and diamond up here, and 6 months down here. So we're pretty occupied for the next year.
So 6 months is already includes 2 additional drilling rigs? Or will they
No, that's excluding the 2. This is the RC is the new one,
okay.
But it's excluding the new diamond one.
Okay. So that might be in.
We've got 2.5 years work here. On this plan, it's really 2.5 years work.
Which if we need to and can, physically with machines availability, we'll squeeze into a year, 18 months.
Yeah.
You know, if we're getting gold intersections, I was saying, I think it was to Bob, if we start really getting nice intersections here, we won't move the machine on foot.
No.
Site.
We'll bring in another machine.
We'll bring another machine as we start
Let's leave the other ones there where they stay and do the work additional.
Yeah, so if you're adding ounces in one place, continue to add those ounces and start
Yeah.
working on another spot.
Yeah. The diamond rig is drilling 2 12-hour shifts a day, and when we bring in the next diamond rig, we'll do that as well. Unfortunately, you all saw the shafts and the workings all the way around when we're drilling. It's impossible to do RC drilling for 2 shifts. It's just you can't do RC drilling at night. But you know, once we move away from workings, we might consider doing 2 shifts for RC as well. And I don't see any reason why we can't do double shifts for all our diamond rigs. So yeah, we can do it in much quicker time, depending on availability.
One of the things we spoke of a lot last year when we travelled, when we were in Munich, for example, was the fact that we were doing a thing called a LiDAR survey. I experienced it only once ever before coming here, And that was about 2 years ago on a site that's currently becoming a mine site, Shanta. We spoke about Shanta. Shanta Gold are building a mine right in the far south, and they flew LiDAR simply to get a DTA in to build the mine on. And when they looked at the LiDAR and what it was telling them, and they looked at the airborne mag, and they looked at the workings that they knew, they realized that the LiDAR showed them where there were a lot more workings that they didn't know about, and actually showed up a lot of the geology and structure. So from the outset, I think with that first budget of mine, a year ago, I put the first budget together, I said, you're going to fly a LiDAR survey. It was quite delayed, and we actually only managed to squeeze it in just before the rainy season, fortunately, because it works best when there's no foliage on the trees. And what it does is it basically shoots a ray down at the ground. When it gets a ground hit, obviously it comes back, and through that they measure the exact elevation of that point, relatively. It also takes this photograph, which is an orthophoto, so it's plan true, and it's very high resolution. And then their colleague at Corp, Alan Goldsmith, sat and meticulously put a point on every single hard rock shaft that he found. And he found 11,000 hard rock shafts within our boundary.
You saw that this morning. I showed you those little dots.
And there were, when you take all the hard rock shafts, for example, they stretch from there to there, and in ruler 2, you take all of those strike extent, coincidentally it was 11 kilometers. So there's 1,000 shafts per line kilometer that's been mined. And we know that some of those shafts go to 90 meters. I think most of them are probably around 30, and the average may be somewhere around about 40 average, if you take the deepest and everything together. And that's serious mining, and there must be quite serious gold in that stuff for them to do that. On the Sani, those 10 samples that I got the results of. Okay, and the Sani took 10 samples from Anguilla 2. How did you take them?
I asked one of the artisanal workers to go down and collect what seemed like a quartz vein or the mineralizer and submitted it to the lab.
Okay, so they grabbed samples. What are you mining? So he went down and bought what he was mining, 10 samples, and the lowest was 7.7, most of them around 20-25 grams a ton. We ourselves got a geologist, a Tanzanian guy, to go down 32 shafts. He sampled, and I gave him instructions, but obviously he had no control on exactly what was done down there. I said, sample the full face of what they're mining, and let's see what they're mining. And they varied from 1 gram a ton to 54 grams a ton. And that was over a width of a face. So there's obviously some quite serious gold down there. And now we're just going to drill it. In terms of priority, it's actually quite difficult to prioritize these, because if you look at each one of these workings, apart from Buli and Yenzi, where there's very little working, the others all have 600, 500, 700 meters of mining on them, so they all have equal standing as far as I'm concerned in terms of drilling. But you've got to start somewhere, so we're starting in one spot and we'll work our way through. The only reason really this kind of gets onto the priority list at this stage is because this is the Bullion Hulu trend, where those workings are. And we have to drill that once and for all. Everybody sort of has ridden on that story for so long. We're going to test it, it'll have gold or it won't have gold on our ground. If it doesn't have gold on our ground, well then we can forget that story and start talking about our own ore bodies. The Yenzi is quite important. We actually flew right over there today. We had a very nice view of the Yenzi. That's about 600 meters long, artisanal workings. It's deeply buried. You can see it's very close to the Mbuga, which is deep, and this is all covered anyway. There's no geology that you see. And if they're mining 600 meters of shafts there must be some good stuff. So it's a very, very exciting drill program. We have no results yet.
Yes.
But we're within a day or two. Yeah.
What's your budget for this year?
Budget for the full program,
Yeah.
as you see it for the year, if we drill 90,000 meters, is 22 million.
So we need to raise more money after you complete.
We obviously we can turn the tap on or close the tap off. If we're getting good results, obviously we can go and get more money. Money won't be an issue. Results will drive how big the program gets. just out of interest, Bullinhulu mine, the drilling started there in 1988 with the government. And then Outokumpu drilled some holes, and then Southern Resources, then Placidone drilled some holes, and then got it to about 2 million ounces, I think. Placidone. And then Sutton took it over and extended that to 8 million, of which about 3.5 was indicated and the balance inferred, and that's when Barrick bought Sutton. Barrick then drilled, I was on the mine at the time, 18 months, 107, I think it was 175,000 meters of diamond drilling. It cost $54 million. It was expensive drilling because they drilled down to 2.3 kilometers. And I don't think they had more than that many holes that didn't go through all. John Kapusta, who was managing that program, would walk into the office and say, I added 250,000 ounces to the resource today, one intersection. The grade was so consistent, the grades were so good, you could just roughly calculate that's 250,000 ounces into the